Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. And on the back of a very interesting weekend of world rankings, Ireland have officially closed the gap on South Africa if to become the number one side in the world. And they now sit about 1.4 ranking points behind the box. And with game still to come against France, could very well continue to sort of gain the margins of South Africa, but very unlikely to take that number one spot. Although in the middle of the year, for example, things will get quite interesting given the fact that South Africa is only playing against Italy and Georgia probably won't gain that much, which means that what is very likely is that when it comes to the end of the year, we'll probably be having very much a fight for the number one spot in the world. But France going down to England means England are up, Scotland are down, Italy remaining in that top 10 for now. Wales in an absolute disaster at the moment based on the past weekend. But before we look at the rankings, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Right, this is how close things are getting. Now, first of all, let's go have a look at actually what it looked like a week ago. So, a week ago, we had South Africa still at number one, 92.78, a full 2 ranking points ahead of Ireland at 90.78. Then New Zealand in third, France in fourth, Argentina in fifth, Scotland in sixth, and England in seventh. And since the past weekend, with the results, this is how things have changed. Right, so England have gone up to sixth place, overtaking Scotland, and they'll play each other in the next round of the Six Nations, which will be quite fun. The Calcutta Cup's always one of my favourite clashes in the Six Nations, especially because Scotland have very much had the run on England the last few years, and will be looking to try and keep their Six Nations chances alive. Because if France were to beat Ireland, which maybe is looking a bit unlikely now over the past weekend, but it is still possible, and Scotland were to beat England, all of a sudden they get themselves back into Six Nations contention. But if you look over there, Ireland have gained almost a full ranking point, and as a result, are starting to catch the gap with the Boks, who still sit relatively comfortably. And but I think the big thing for South Africa is that if we can go and beat New Zealand in New Zealand, those ranking points will jump quite a lot because those are two big away victories. That was the biggest problem with South Africa last year, is that we couldn't really move up the rankings too much because we played Ireland at home. So that was a big opportunity to try and gain the ranking points. But when you're at home, you're not there isn't as big a gains available for you to when you're away. And then we played New Zealand also at home, and when you're playing Australia away, but Australia are so far down the rankings table, for example, and then even England and Scotland by the time we played them weren't particularly high. And then we lost to Argentina. That was obviously a big loss for us as well. So in terms of South Africa maintaining the number one ranking, it'll all come down probably to the end of the year tour. What will be interesting though is if France were to beat Ireland, that would then mean Ireland would lose quite a few ranking points, and France would gain and sort of move up towards close to that New Zealand sort of position. Scotland beating England will probably see them trade places once again. Italy will be desperate to try and get one of the wins against the likes of Ireland, England, Scotland. Not looking very likely, but if they could get one of those wins, then they'll manage to get themselves hopefully back into that 80s mark. Wales, unfortunately, we're gonna have to go. You have to go quite far down to be able to find them. And if we look at this past weekend, Georgia upper place, by the way, Switzerland upper place, in case you wanted to know, and England upper place in terms of the biggest climbers over there. The biggest fall is that Scotland's lost a place, Wales lost place down to 12th, and then obviously got teams who are further down, languishing in sort of the 40s and 50s in the world rankings. So interesting times, and I do think at the moment, it's funny because we don't really give the world rankings a lot of attention, and a lot of people I think say that they're not particularly accurate, and yet I look at the rankings and I think that they are relatively accurate on where we are in the world rugby. I do think France, for example, losing to England, I don't think there's a massive difference between them, and I think if that game is in France, I think France probably win it and kind of assert that dominance. I do think Ireland at the moment are the side closest to South Africa. I think New Zealand are maybe, I think if they take another step up this year, then they could definitely get themselves to that top two. But I think they probably are, for me at least, still probably better than France, especially over the weekend. Losing to England kind of sort of knocks them back. So as much as we don't often appreciate and value the world rankings, I do think that they're at this case at least relatively accurate and relatively reflective of what the world rugby order is like. Very cool to see Fiji there as usual. But what do you think? And where do you think? Just how much can Ireland potentially try and gain towards South Africa during the Six Nations? But obviously we won't have our ranking points affected until the mid-year series against Italy. Or if we were to lose, for example, then we'd plummet down this table quite quickly if we were to lose games, for example, against Italy, against Georgia, even against Australia. and the likes. But let me know what you think about the rankings down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.